welcome everyone to the next webinar in our webinar series. Today, I'm very happy to invite two of our co-panelists, Janelle and Ahad. Welcome, both of you. Hi.
Hi, Manish.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good, doing great. Thanks to be here. Thanks for being here today. Welcome to everyone who has joined the webinar and is viewing this webinar later on. Today, we are going to talk about something very interesting, which is mid-sized enterprises, um, which who have different kind of pressures and competitions. And I have two very special guests with me. So let me start by introducing both our guests today. First, we are going to go to Janelle, and Janelle is works for Minnesota Timberwolves and Lynx. So is it only, I have a question for you, Janelle. Is it only Minnesota Timberwolves, or the complete name is Minnesota Timberwolves and Lynx? Oh, you're on mute. Nimit, see if you can remove the mute remotely. There you go. You're
Okay,
back.
there we go. All righty, cool. Sorry. It's Minnesota Lynx and Timberwolves, and so it's like because both of them we work with both teams here, and so it's a collaborated thing.
Okay, perfect, fantastic. So you take care of the help desk support over there, and you are a multidimensional person. You are an outdoors person at the same time. You're a gamer too.
Yes. I like to be at least be able to have some sunlight every now and then, and also be able to sit back and relax and just be in a nice, cool area. And so it's just like, yeah.
Fantastic. Welcome to the session, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Ad is the CTO at C-SPAN, one of the most exciting, most exciting, uh, is it most exciting, but very exciting, as, but pretty much it's a, it's a, it's a, it's a organization that all of us know. We have all viewed C-SPAN feeds all the time. We have switched on TV and watched C-SPAN all the time. And I was talking to you about it, how C-SPAN is actually making more and more inroads in my news feeds and my social media feeds. I'm seeing more of C-SPAN today than I was watching like 10 years ago. So I'm sure it has something to do with you and also the market. So welcome to this session, Ahad.
Thanks a lot, Manish. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to hear, that you are seeing more and more C-SPAN in your social media feed. That's our goal, to just bring more people to our long form. Because these days the attention span is not that long for people. So yeah, we are just giving, something, so people will be interested in the long form content where things are happening in real time. And yeah.
Perfect, perfect. And I understand you are a gamer too.
Oh yes, yeah, big time.
Nowadays it's hard to find someone who's not a gamer. So
Yeah.
you know,
We
so
are coming
welcome.
from the Atari time, so that's basically ingrained in us, so we cannot take the game out, the gamer thing,
Yeah,
from our souls. It's in our DNA.
yeah. I my first hand game was like the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy.
Yeah.
I guess the regular Nintendo Game Boy. So it's just like ever since then, I've just been
Yeah.
in it from all the way up to now. And so it's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So let's get started. So today, we too like to talk to different organizations and try to get their perspective on what's going on, and with all this talk of AI and especially focused on employee support. But today we want to focus from a perspective of mid-sized organizations, which both of you are, right? And the game is different from larger organizations and smaller organizations, right? Larger organizations can afford to, they come with some benefit. They can spend more money. They have more muscle power. They can have better negotiating power, and so on and so forth. But also, I think the small organizations are more agile. They can do more things, and they need to do more things, perhaps too, right? So we are going to talk about that. We are going to talk about how it's unique being a mid-sized organizations. What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? What kind of digital transformation you guys are looking at, given that context? How do you select your products, right? How does your service desk transformation going on? How did you, how's your experience with Resolve and using AI in your service desk? What are the outcomes and early results? What are the future plans and vision in this journey? And it obviously is a journey, right? Like, all these initiatives are not zero and one kind of situations. I think you start with something and go from there. You build over a period of time. So the question is, how are your journey looking like now, and how you want to go from there, and what is the Q&A, etc. So I think that's what we are trying to figure out today. So let's get started. So I'll start with you first. So what is your, how do you, you run a technology organization for a mid-sized organization. Tell us a little bit about this. How do you view that challenge?
So I would say like as you said, the mid-size organizations, there are some advantages. I mean, I'm not gonna say, that it's the mid-size is actually is an advantage because it's more agile. We can pivot, and we can actually fail, and fail fast. That's the thing. So you try something, you try it for a certain period of time. If it's not basically giving you the desired results, you can just change, the things very easily, and select some other product, to actually evaluate or, to integrate with your system. Our experience in that area, specifically when it comes to the service desk, sorry, is that um, we are, I mean, from the size standpoint, like we are not that big, but from the brand standpoint or from the content standpoint or the product we are creating product which is viewed by millions. So for us, it's very important that when our user is basically looking for help or something which basically can help him produce faster, or I mean, can just remove any roadblock they're facing in the production. Our goal is just to get to that point where our users can have their production, or have their production uninterrupted. So that is basically one of the things like which initiated our service has changed. And so that was basically the change we wanted. And with that, it comes with the ITSM workflow, the framework which we actually adopted in our organization, and we are still implementing it. But the good thing is, like, unlike any big organization, we are easily implement that because it's a very close kind of culture, and not close culture. It's a small, it's predefined culture, I would say. So it's easy to communicate, all of these changes, and yeah, that's it. So it's work in progress right now. We are coming from the incident. So we said we are already implementing change management, and the next goal is to go towards problem management. So that's I would say, like, in a nutshell, our journey is right now.
And some of the things that you said up front were very interesting. That almost sounds like, some of those things are similar to what we feel like in a startup mode, right? You
Yeah.
can fail fast, you can do things, and you don't have to go through a 1 year buying process or 3 year buying process. By the time you buy, the technology is obsolete. I work with some of the large organizations as well, and the buying process in large organization is extremely difficult, right? Like, extremely difficult, right? It's you're lucky if you can get a contract signed in 9 months, or so. But typically it can take as much as 18 months from the first conversation with someone having a desire to buy a technology to actually getting that technology implemented, right? It could take 18 months, and 18 months is a very long time, isn't it, Jenna?
Yeah. it's like it could just take a little bit of time just to kind of get things up and going for a bit and so, but you got to be able to find the right thing for it. And so it's like, yeah, yeah,
Exactly. So while smaller organizations might not have necessarily, as much resources and money and people to throw at problems, I think there's one definite advantage that you guys have is the ability to move a little bit faster than them, right? Like you can look at things and you can decide to fail fast. Let's say if you buy something and you don't like it, then you can move out of it and do something else, right? You don't have to stay there and because you have
try to
invested
deal with it.
Exactly, because you have invested 18 months in buying something now, you don't have to stay for another 18 months just because you bought it, right? Like so, there are definitely some advantages on being a smaller organization. So, Janelle, what do you what were the opportunities? So tell us a little bit about like we talked about service desk, but what are the broader objectives that both of you are looking at within your organizations? Like, what are you guys trying to drive at? For example, Janelle, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
What are the pressures of being, one of the star teams in the country? Like your infrastructure, IT, what are the key challenges that you guys are facing? What are you trying to do?
I would say the kind of the key challenges, I guess, is just being able to provide that support to our employees here. For them to be able to have the ease of being able to creating the ticket, being able to get the help that is needed. And so it's like we want to make it at least pretty user friendly for them. And so, because otherwise, if something's too complicated, it's like I feel like that makes the whole things more frustrating for everyone at the same time. And so it's just being able to kind of have the ease of a working workflow, being able to provide, I guess, all that needed specific like items that is needed for like each department here. So like for example, we have like multiple departments. They have like different needs that is needed for them, and being able to have like a ticket system that be able to provide that, be able to give them the options of being able to kind of pick through what is needed for them versus having to them to type in every single word and have to just like explain everything and put in all that information versus everything just be like, I just need this and just this, and then everything else kind of out of it. So just being having that ease of service for them, because otherwise it can be frustrating.
You're absolutely right. The one of the key things that we found when we are doing the research that people are the most often used word is ease of use, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone is looking for ease of use. That's if there's a single word or single phrase that everyone is looking for is ease of use, right? Can we do it simply without, without going through, a portal and, all that kind of stuff, which typically are deemed more complicated for a user, right? That's definitely the case. Are there anything you want to add here?
Yeah, I would say, from the challenge standpoint, I'll say that data silos are probably the first thing I would say, to add to the points that Janet just mentioned. Uh, I think that every organization is going through that right now. That they have, not right now, I mean, most of the organizations have this issue where they have data silos. And we are not basically unique in that case. I was having issues um, connecting these different data sets together. And that's where I think that any platform such as like Resolve was really useful because we have used this as a middle ground, for all of those data silos. So I will give you the case in point is basically is the asset management. So the finance, I mean, no finance anywhere like finance deal with the asset management differently, and the technology deals the asset management totally different in different way. Our goal is mostly to find that who is having that hardware and how many times, we are having problem with that hardware. Usually, those are the two parameters, when we're working on. Whereas the finance, they are basically working on the value of the equipment and see like how it's getting devalued or depreciated. So, but there are two different data sets. When it comes like, if you have problem with any equipment and we talk about repairing that equipment, um, it's always a challenge, that whether to repair it or replace it.
Yep.
right? Because, we have to know, whether it's really worth to spend like another, if the value is $1,000, for example, is it really worth, putting $700, for the repairs or just replace it? So
Yep.
I think that if we merge our data sets together, finance and our technology data set. So finance is telling us that how much money left on that equipment, and the technology is telling us, that okay, this equipment failed 3 times or 4 times in the past week, and that was basically actually allow us to make a decision. That all right, to really repair it, it's really worth, to spend another $700, on $1,000 equipment, or just dispose it, and just get a new one. So I think that this is very important in anywhere. Uh, so you can have multiple data sets or data silos, but the interconnectivity between those data sets is crucial. It's very important. It saves costs, time, and also effort in the longer run. Yeah, so that's what I want to add. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you. And actually, the way I see the old world versus new world, right? So in old world, people were used to having systems which are not talking to each other, right? So for example, a ticketing system was a ticketing system which is used to track tickets, right? That's the definition. But you have a lot of those systems. You had a lot of those systems which are not talking to each other, right? And now what you're looking for, you are looking for spreadsheets and excels and dashboards for each those individual things, but the kind of problem that you just defined needs an intelligence across the systems, right? It might, some data might be here, data might be there. We all keep talking AI, but these are the real use cases. The use case that you described is such a real use case. And I know even we are not here. We don't look at the asset and suggest to you whether there's an asset that can be replaced or not. But that's such a beautiful use case, right? Like if based on Gen AI analysis you can do that, that's an amazing use case. I mean, hey, this particular asset has been repaired 3 times in last 6 months, right? Would you like to, would you, I recommend that there's a distinct, there's a case for replacing this, for example, right? That's a beautiful set of data to have if you can find it conversationally and do that. That's pretty amazing. I love it. And having the connectivity to shoes, right? You used another word, and I typically use middleware. So I think you need a system nowadays which talks to other system so that it acts like a middleware, right? And if you have Gen AI or AI in front of it, then it works like an intelligent middleware where you can talk to the middleware, and the middleware can talk to other systems and then bring the information that you're looking for and hopefully even make sense for of it eventually, right? That's the dream.
I think
That's
that
the
if I may add, I think that the word I want to use over here is decentralized databases.
Mhm.
So I think that you do have all of these silos. If we just put them together in the way, that they will be decentralized in a way that they're synced to each other wherever they have overlaps, and and they can stay as is, in their own domains, just to facilitate. For example, I give the example of finance. Finance, I think that the overlaps are the name and the asset tag and all that kind of stuff, with the technology, right? So they can stay there in their domain, finance, and the database can stay there, but we will have some kind of decentralized process where at some point these two database will talk to each other and sync, the content with each other.
Yep. No, absolutely. I love that. And towards the end, I'm going to explain a little bit about Gen AI based analytics, but maybe I can mention that right here. So, what is different from traditional analytics and Gen AI based analytics, which is up and coming topic, and you're going to hear a lot about this eventually, everyone, is the fact that if Gen AI can read data, it can actually create metrics around that data and tags or auto tags around that data. And those auto tags and metrics can be used to create, do analysis. So, for example, in your case, if Gen AI can read the asset history, right? And then you can build rules around it, then it can tell you whether this is too much or not. And I'm going to give you one example like this later on that we're actually working on. But that's a pretty amazing use case. So let's look at so we kind of already talked about the digital transformation imperatives. I think we talked about ease of use and how everyone is looking to do better employee support. I suppose nobody has a whole lot of extra dollars sitting somewhere. And nowadays I find that I will actually stop finding. I don't find very rich organizations anymore. I don't know what's going on. But when I started my IT career around 20 years ago, they were rich IT organizations, right? Like they will have, you know, lunches and, free dinners and cabs to home and, everything. And that era seems to be long over. Nobody has enough budget anymore. So, one of the challenge that is also given to everyone is that, listen, we are going to grow and this is going to happen and that is going to happen, but you got to manage with the budget that you have. Are you guys also seeing something like this?
I would have to say, like, in the few little companies that I have been with before, it's just like they they don't I would say there's still some that still try to provide such services out for their employees to be able to provide them a little extra little dinners, outings and whatnot. I would have to say you don't see it as much, but it's like they still try. I feel like they still try it if they have enough within their budget to be able to do so. I would say here it's like we try to do something like that even as a whole company to be able to go out, do like a little lunch and dinner or do like little group or department outings and whatnot. And so just to be like, we still try to be like a close knit family, I guess would be a good way to put it. But I feel like you don't really see it as much or hear about it as much, but it happens. I feel like it's still out there, but hey,
I started my career back in, I was in Wall Street, and there were good times in I'm going to date myself, but late 1990s, around 2000. Money was flowing freely in IT organization. Anyone wanted to hire five more consultants, not a problem. You just have to state your case and you get five more consultants. But nowadays, I think hirings are not that easy. People can't increase their team size at will, right?
yeah.
There's a lot more justification that you have to give for each new hire that you make. So I see really two cases right now. One is efficiency and one is employee experience, right? Those are two sides of the coins that I'm seeing why people are looking for solutions such as ours. um, as you talked about when we were talking initially, you talked about inconsistent problem reporting. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? How is that a problem in service desk?
Absolutely. Um, so, um, so one of the big problems, in any technology department, I would say, is as far as I know, is basically reporting the problem. You have the problem, you go attend this incident, you come back, you log that issue, and then you have your own wordings, just to explain what happened. Sometimes people don't explain; they just put done, and completed, and then they close the ticket. So but I would say, the best way to resolve the issue is you put the resolution, which you basically follow. And what I've seen, in my career, that people actually use their own wordings, when they are closing, to resolving the ticket. And that actually create problems when it comes to if you want to implement a knowledge base in your organization. And just to talk a little bit more about the knowledge base, it's a very handy tool. It's a very great tool. If you don't have a person at that time or that SME available, you can always go to the knowledge base and find out, what happened, if this issue happened before, and if it is, what was the solution, to solve that problem. Um, I think that what I've seen is that people use their own wordings to solve the problem, and then you have two sets of solutions, and sometimes one is detailed one, the other one is a little bit they're written differently. What we actually try to implement, what we tried is to use AI to find out, that what's a commonality, between these two solutions. go there, we do have all the entire job knowledge base in front of us, and we give this task to AI just to find, two same kind of solutions and merge them. So, and merge them in a way that the languages is like kind of common, kind of the words and everything is written in that. It's easy to understandable. So that's what basically we are working on. So previously we were having issues. So in terms of reporting, people, for example, I have problem with my monitor right now, and I'll report it to that person will fix it, put the resolution in. Someone else, some other user will have the same problem, and it will be entered differently. But by using Gen AI or AI in general, we actually merge these two things together. So both solutions are there. So if next time engineer is having trouble, fixing the same problem, he's got same, both solutions in front of him, and he can just follow that. If one will not work, method one will not work, he will just adopt the method two. So I think that was basically kind of a big achievement for us in that area. And yeah, we actually were able to solve, save a lot of time actually. Not to reinvent the wheel every time we have similar problem.
This is very important because I've found that one of the most common thing that where people are spending a lot of time is a ticket comes in. What is the life cycle of the ticket, right? How many touch points do you have? How many times it needs to be read and allocated to the right queue and commented upon and so on and so forth. So the part where you're actually working the ticket and the part which are all peripheral to it, can be like, for example, the ticket comes in, it comes in a common queue. Now you got to read it, you got to put in the right queue. All those are touch points which are actually taking time, right, and energy, and creating confusion. I actually want to add something to you. I don't know if I told you this, but we are bringing a new feature in which we are trying to automate it to the next level. Maybe I told you about this, but where if you create something in the service catalog, you create a new service category, the bot will automatically know what follow-up questions to ask on that, right? So for example, if you create a service category called moving desk, right, then the bot will know what follow-up questions to ask for this particular kind of ticket, and would be aware about the life cycle of the ticket, thereby reducing the work of us trying to figure out where this ticket belongs, what are the details that needs to be asked about this ticket, and so on and so forth. And like you said, also simplifying the knowledge management part, because all these things are linked, right? You cannot think of knowledge management in isolation, for example, from service catalog and so on and so forth. So yeah, I sorry, you were saying?
I
I
said
was
that
about
that
to
is
say,
correct.
yeah, I was about to say that sounds pretty nice actually, right there, is that it's able to kind of predict or be able to provide that follow-up information in regards to whatever's being put in that service catalog. It's like, okay.
So right now, the bot already asks follow-up questions which are pre-designed or based on bot knowledge,
Yeah.
but now it can also do based on service catalog item is what is happening. So Janelle, tell us a little bit about your unique situations as you went on your transformation journey, and tell us a little bit about your context, please.
So for our journey of trying to figure out what we wanted and how to get it going and implement it, with our previous ticket system, our support team kind of provided like the bare minimums, I guess to say the least. It was user friendly, but it was kind of bland where there's no options to customize, or it was difficult to kind of review or even filter out our tickets. So it was kind of phasing out, and then also that system was also becoming out of date where they wasn't even providing updates anymore for, so it was time for us to make a change. And so being able to look for anything that was uh pretty much like affordability is kind of like the big thing, and also simple and user friendly and kind of easy when it comes to configurations. And so being able to uh kind of go around reviewing those options and just kind of stumble across Resolve AI. It was just like, okay, you're able to kind of customize things, and it seems like that the support working with our CSM is like they actually want to work with you and be able to provide you information, provide you options, or even suggestions of a way to kind of accommodate for all the stuff that we wanted. And so the when it came to, I guess, being able to have all of that and have all of that kind of go across all of our different departments and being able to implement like a little workflow when it came to our onboarding and offboarding stuff, it was like, this sounds great. And then it's able to kind of provide us, it actually pulls data or any info of being able to get any reports, whereas in that old system, we wasn't really able to do that. It kind of just like you're able to look at your tickets, but then you just have to print out a CSV format of it and then kind of break it down from there. Whereas this is everything is actually separated. So it makes things a lot, whole much more
Yeah.
easier and efficient. And
People,
so,
people, people often forget that most of the systems right now which are in play are based on architecture which was like 15 years ago, unfortunately, right? Like everyone has a life cycle, and I'm sure at 15 years from now, our architecture, if we don't evolve, will also be older, right? But
yeah,
some organizations are even in a pre-cloud era, or they are just at the cloud era, but there's a gen AI based or AI based architecture which has come into the play. So that does make a difference in terms of what kind of architecture approach that you have. Anything that you want to add, Ahad, here before in terms of your criteria?
So you said very thing. It's very interesting to know, I mean, that everybody's having that issue, that the on-prem cloud readiness and the native cloud native.
So,
I mean, we all struggling, I mean, in those areas right now. We are trying to make things which are basically on-prem, pretty much, I mean, the traditional server client kind of setup. We're trying to make them work in the cloud setting. And yeah, we all have seen that, I mean, that it's basically I would say like 90% of the time, I mean, it's really hard to make that thing work. I think that, I mean, it is very important that we should take that same principle and use cloud native tools to implement this, or just bring those or take those capabilities into the cloud.
yeah.
And that's what we have tried. I mean, we are actually doing it currently. We are actually not taking, the on-prem solutions to the cloud. We are trying to build same capabilities in the cloud. So, I mean, it isn't, I mean, the cloud is that application or that capabilities home, and it will be easier for it to really communicate with all of the other neighbors and, I mean, the databases, it wanted to talk.
Yeah, and I really see three architectures right now. There's a on-prem architecture, there's a cloud architecture, and I think there's a AI-based architecture. There's a third level of architecture that is there. So obviously, from all on-prem companies were trying to go to cloud, and the cloud companies of today are trying to go to AI-based architecture. But these are three distinct architectures that exist, and I think we need to start recognizing that there's a third kind of architecture available. Because there's a whole lot of thing in AI architecture. Where is your data residing? How is the data moving? Which data model are you using? Which language model are you using? Are you using a private endpoint or not? Like there are thousands of questions that you need to ask when you're evaluating a cloud-based system versus an AI-based system even. So that's a very interesting thing to recognize, right, as technology buyers, that there are different things which are going on here.
Yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I just want to add one thing here. What I find, I wonder if I'm just going to put few things. I think these are the kind of things that we talked about, right? Access by teams, knowledge, which is conversational, automation, which is conversational, integration. So I had put this together, and I think you kind of all mentioned about these points. All right. So, how was so three questions in this part of the, journey. One, how was your implementation? What are the learnings that you can offer others? There's one more question that someone has thrown up there. Any post-departmental collaborations, right? That's another question that I'll open up to both of you. But why don't you go first and tell us about your implementation experience and what can others do and not do based on what you learned? If you were to do it all over again, what will you do differently?
Yeah, so I mean, I just want to talk about the integration first. So I would say, I mean, for any ITSM implementation, CMDB is the center of everything.
Mhm.
Because if you don't have change management database, you don't have all the components in there, all the CIs are not basically in one central place. And when you create a ticket, whether it's incident problem or change management, it will be a pseudo name over there. And again, I mean, people will type name over there in their own ways. I mean, they will probably select lower, high. I mean, I mean, they have their own way of adding, I mean, names of the equipment, I mean, the system. So Snippet was really helpful, I mean, in that area. It's a very simple tool. We actually got recommendation from one of your colleagues. They actually said, "Why don't you try this?" Because that was my first question when before implementing the Resolve AI, that okay, where is the CMTV? Because I don't want to log tickets against nothing. I mean, I want to log it against the assets. So they recommended that. We have tried that software in isolation before, when we just use, because we do have our own change asset management system, we move all of the, or copy all of the content to Snippet. And then I found that, it has a very good reporting feature. So I said, there is something like which we can really use, whether we get the resolved AI or not, and it is basically kind of a valuable software. But then I talked to your, the implementation guide, I would say, I mean, who actually was assigned to us. And, I mean, he actually said, all right, fine, let me talk to the developers. And they came back, I mean, with the API level integration, with this product. So at this moment right now, we do have Resolve, which is in the cloud, and Sniper, which is on-prem. It's a very beautiful mix right now where everything is local for asset management wise. And we do have API calls going to the Resolve system, which is in the cloud, and it is extracting everything in real time. So today, if someone is opening a ticket via email, for example, if myself, Ahad, like have a problem with my laptop, if I open the ticket, the system Resolve will go to Snippet and said, all right, I have this person asking for help. What is, I mean, the laptop name or the host name? So the Snippet will provide that. And in the long run, if I'm having continuous problem with the laptop, the reporting feature which we are having right now, it will let us know that Ahad's laptop has suffered crash, or BSOD, in the past, at 4 times, like in the past week. And that will actually, the report will tell me, like, look into that. When we have a problem over here, replace that laptop, and you will not have this problem. And that will actually lower the load. I mean, the incoming load on the help desk will automatically reduce if we actually see things from that perspective. So integration wise, it was very transparent. I mean, like in the beginning, like we had few hiccups, I mean, but now when everything is settled, the integration is I mean, it's transparent. We don't feel that, and the reporting is great. So that's what I want to say, I mean, about Sniper.
Yeah. Thank you. And it's, it's one of the, so we integrate with three or four different systems, right? And they come at a different price point and complexity. I personally also like a Sniper because it's a good tool to just integrate with, and for mid-sized enterprise, it seems to work well. If there's large organizations, they typically go for Asset Panda, one of those things, which is a little bit more expensive, but this works great for a mid-sized organization. One question for you is also about managing change. How did you manage the change within the organization when the new AI-based solution was coming? I mean, what is the guidance that you have for people there?
So any change, I would say, I mean, when you talk about the change, the initial reaction is always, pushback. I mean, I'm lucky, I mean, in that area where the organization culture was very receptive, very embracing. They said, all right, fine, let's just bring it, let's just evaluate it. So people were actually really excited about, I mean, that on my expectation was that people will get, I mean, because AI is having that kind of a connotation, I mean, where it's like fear of unknown, where they don't know, I mean, really what they're about to deal with, so there were obviously, I mean, few individuals, I mean, would be, um, I would say alarmists, I mean, that they would say, oh, I mean, this will basically take over, I mean, the system, and we will lose control, I mean, over, I mean, our data, and things will not basically be the same the way we have right now. But for that kind of group, or for that kind of mindset, I just simply have, I mean, I mean, I simply have one solution, which is workshop. And just bring them into on the table, do a
That's
work,
amazing.
I mean, and that's the model we have taken. Although we had like I would say, I mean, I mean, majority of our users were very happy, to to receive that change. But we have actually did a workshop for everyone, so people will see, I mean, that the Gen AI is different than what you see in I mean, the movies. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that AI which will basically take over your life, or I mean, your job, or I mean, kill you at the end. So that is basically, I mean, our strategy towards that.
And I love the idea of workshop, by the way, because I think if we can all sit and talk, essentially that's what workshop is, with some specific goals in mind, it really helps. I'm also, finding that, I don't know if you are noticing this hype cycle around Gen AI, right? Last year in July, everyone was in almost excited and panic at the same time, if that's possible. Really, we are all panicked personally, and at the same time, kind of very anxious, and all those kind of things to be taken together. But believe it or not, for last 1 week in my news feed, I'm getting all kind of articles where some people are saying, oh, it's not going to do this, and so I don't know if, I think personally the reality lies somewhere in between, right? Like, it's not like, some people are making it seem like it's no good, it's very dumb technology. I don't think it's very dumb technology, and I don't think it's going to take all our jobs away. I think it's a smart tool that is going to help us do our jobs better. I think that's where it is landing, and that's where it will land, at least for next foreseeable future, next 10, 20 years is how far ahead we can see, right? Like, impossible to see beyond that. But at least for next 10, 20 years, that's what I see is being helpful to do our jobs.
Yeah.
And then after that, all bets are off.
That is great. I mean, generative AI has its own application, I mean, the problem is that people are actually seeing it as, I would say, one-stop shop for everything. So, generative AI, which is connected with a large language model, it has its own application, I mean, and you can just use it for certain things. But when it comes to the complex things, I mean, where you're asking for unique stuff, such as like physicists, or I mean, the space engineers, they are basically asking for the specifics. And we have tried that. Actually, my son is an engineer, so I mean, he is into this fluids and the space technology. So we ask specific questions, specific math problem, and the only results we got is if someone actually created an article, I mean, for that. So that is basically, I mean, I would say like it has its own application.
Absolutely. I've tried maths, and that doesn't work very well with AI, right? Math is difficult to have. Um, uh, I want to quickly ask a question about your implementation, Janelle. How was your
Yeah.
implementation experience? Walk us through this journey. Tell us what all of us could have done differently, if there was any such thing. Share your ideas with all of us, please.
So as I kind of mentioned before, our ticket system was kind of like bare, so it was kind of like hard to, I guess, to be able to the end user to be able to have that ease of access to be able to get a ticket created and to get everything updated for them. The challenges that we kind of experienced was kind of getting like the workflow to be consistent, and we're trying to be able to get notifications sent out, adding new people, and updating our system. So being able to kind of integrate our different departments, and also integrating like the AI chatbot to be able to kind of be able to pull whatever information they needed specifically for their workflow, and to be able to for it to be able to fish back out the information that they needed. And so just being able to kind of have a good knowledge base, backup, kind of just set up and updated with everything that is needed about that department, so that way that our AI bot can be able to pull that information, be like, oh, this is what you need. Would you all be also be needing this as well? Just being able to make sure you kind of have all your ducks in a row about what is everything you need, and then being able to kind of input that in the AI bot as well. And so just being able to kind of have it to, if it's, I think it's even nice that even when it's not able to get the information in it because maybe something new has been asked that we didn't have in our database before, that is like, hey, we could still create a ticket, just fill in the information right there. It's just being able to kind of have that flow, and then even if it doesn't have that information, it's still be able to create that ticket, and that way we'll be able to update our information later on, so that way if this comes across again, the bot will be able to kind of get that flow going again. And so it was a work in progress, but we got it. I say just as long as you're constantly working with your rep to make sure all that is that you have everything that you needed for your company, it's a smooth process. I think it's also like being able to kind of have like the training sessions with the company as well, so that way they could get familiarized with it as well, so that way it could be like a smooth process for everyone. And so
No,
uh,
I agree with you that the knowledge, it's garbage in, even though it's AI, it's garbage in, garbage out still implies here, right? Like you can't
yeah.
have, if you don't have the right knowledge, the bot is just, you can't expect it to make up stuff. So that's absolutely right. And I think taking everyone together on that journey is also really important.
And because otherwise you can have like stuff fall through the cracks, and people just automatically be like, oh, this that our chatbot wasn't able to actually get anything that we needed. It's like, no, it's like the process that the way you put in your information, it's not able to pull the correct info that you needed for it. And so it's like that's why we try to have this a little a guideline, a workshop that's needed. If you need to figure out how to do it, always reach out and we'll be able to help you out. I think it's also nice that we even have a live chat also implemented in our system as well. So that way, if we are not available or is out of office, that we can have ourselves kind of checked in that we're available for a live chat, and that people can still kind of reach out to us. And if we're not busy, like not away or stepped away from our desk, the bot will actually let them know, like, oh, your technician is away right now. If you don't mind waiting a few, they'll be back with you shortly. And so I think that's kind of nicely integrated, so that way no one's waiting at an unknown period of time. It's like constantly being updated. And so I think for the most part, as long as you have an idea of what you want, it could it'll be able to work itself out. And so it's like, even though we're kind of doing something new here for ourselves, I feel like we're kind of continuing to grow with this whole platform. And so it's been pretty great.
And that's indeed true, right? Like this is all about a journey, right? We are trying to together grow, right? Like this automation journey doesn't stop. There's not a 0 and 1 kind of situation where you started with something and then oh, I did a 2 months implementation, I have all the automation that I need. I think you keep building on automation, you keep building on your knowledge over a period of time. So Ahad, what can you tell us about like the future path that you have and the post implementation? What are you looking for? If you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I start, I mean, we started this whole, I mean, implementation, this journey. We already set our to be model, like our target state, which
Mhm.
was basically to have 60% to 70% automation of all the processes, I mean, we are having right now. And we do have around, I would say conservatively, like 40 to 45 processes, I mean, which is basically starting from help desk or the service desk. So our goal is to just go for at least 60%, 70 to 80% automation. And which means that if someone is asking for a username, someone is basically requesting for of license, if someone is requesting for a mouse or a keyboard, that should be basically done automatically. And I would say the service catalog will come in handy in that case, where we can actually create a vending machine kind of model,
Yep.
where a person can come in and they can request for that. So that's one part of the of this whole automation. The other thing is like the onboarding and the offboarding of the users. That's another place, we want to basically create automation, because manual, I would say offboarding is more challenging than onboarding, because there is a possibility that when someone actually forgets something somewhere, and that is basically big security risk. If I just have to water it down, it's a security risk. So, so we actually want to implement actually right now, because we have multiple systems, I would say more than 15 systems where the person is basically having their footprint. It's a manual process, to do the offboarding. Our goal is to create automation in that area as well. And the third and the last thing is where users will have access to the knowledge base. We are in process of cleaning up of our knowledge base, so the users can get the solutions directly from knowledge base. There's going to be the same knowledge base, which is accessible to our engineers, and we just want to make it sound, or we just use different language for users. And that's where AI comes in, where we will tone it down a little bit. No jargon in there. And I'm going to just create a simpler knowledge base item for the engineering doc, which was submitted by the engineer. So that's our to be model, or the future state of the, and after that, once we hit that mark, we will just put some more effort in towards the automation. But yeah, that's where we are right now.
Perfect. And by the way, a couple of things here very interesting. In Genia, it's so simple to actually guide the bot to give different kind of answers to different people. So for example, if you have a same documentation and you have a more difficult version that you want agents to have access to, but a milder version, less technical version for employees, but you don't want to rewrite the document, right? It's possible to tell the Gen AI literally, just write the prompt that will tell it, listen, give a easier version, give a smaller one, and back off if they don't understand, and then go create a ticket, right? We do this all the times. We can tell it, tell depending on the profile of the person, right? It depends on what your profile is. And the profile we find out by user attribute, and user attributes can be active to active group. For example, I might belong to active to active group called agent, right, or IT help desk, but I might not, right? Or I might be a C-level executive, for example, right? So depending on what active directory group I belong to, the bot can actually behave differently to different people, and we can have the prompts to write that. So I love your path, and the best part I like about it is it's a step-by-step process. You're taking one thing, getting it right, then doing the next thing and getting that right. That's the right approach. It's a journey. And meanwhile, by the way, new features will keep coming in from our side. Then you'll also have to incorporate, right? For example, we are working on um, recognition of images, right? So for example, if you upload an error code, I can read the error code and then do something on the basis of that, or add that into the ticket volume. So these kind of things will come. You'll have to incorporate that if you want to. But it's a journey. It doesn't stop. It's not one of those things that I've implemented and I'm done. It keeps going on.
Well, at that point, the AI is also helping. You said OCR, the character recognition. We are working on a couple of products, which basically help us extract data from the videos. So that we can submit the media file, and it can not only create the transcript of that, but it will extract, the information and it will to do a celebrity watch as well. It will look for the familiar faces, in the video. So the applications are really, the possibilities are unlimited. So yeah, I just want to add that, because we are currently working on that project.
We worked on this. We are using this OpenAI image recognition for so POC is going on, and it's crazy. It can tell you everything about the screen. It can tell you if I give it my screenshot, it can tell you how many apps I have open, what apps are open, what kind of screen error it is there. So it's a huge use case there to recognize and use that knowledge when people are saying, okay, I'm going to send a screenshot for this problem. They take their phone, take a screenshot and send it. Now you can have more information that you can use. The images are not dumb anymore. So a lot of exciting stuff that is coming. So Janelle, what is your post feedback? Post implementation. Where are you and where you're trying to go? If you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can. I guess for the most part, we're trying to make sure that we're able to ensure like a white glove experience for all of our staffs from when it comes to technology standpoint, and trying to see more in regards to automation. So it's like at this time, we're mainly just in regards to just having a ticket system, being able to have our AI bot be able to help out with our uh, help desk team. So that way we'll be able to efficiently get through and help out as many people as they can within a good time frame for the most part. And so being able to increase the efficiency in our process by capturing all relevant information and just being able to track all of our reports and anything that's specific to departments. And so that's the main things that we're trying to work upon. And just even going through this and hearing about we don't have Snippet integrated with our stuff. So it's like that sounds like that would be a good asset manager in regards to it. So that way we can have something else. So that way everything could be all integrated together. But for the most part, we're trying to do more in regards to maybe more efficiently automate everything. And so uh, that's the kind of the future goals for the most part, and being able to do everything we can so that way it's a smooth transition for everyone. And so, yeah.
Fantastic. No, I really appreciate that kind of brings us towards the end. I have a couple of questions, but we are running out of time. Maybe, if anything, last question, I'll give you both 30 seconds. Key metrics, right? People are asking about key metrics. What are you measuring? Janelle, maybe you can go first. Is there any metrics that you are measuring and that you will like as you go on this journey? What is the key metrics for you?
For us, it's like being able to, I guess, in regards to what we have currently, being able to kind of track the number of specific issues that we have going on, and whether it's comes to our workstations, our printers, our TVs, or anything sorts like that, or our onboarding, offboarding process, just kind of understanding like what are the common scenarios that keep happening here, so that way we can be better track of being able to do we need to update anything? Do we need to upgrade anything? Do we need to try to do anything in the source like that so that way we get a better idea of what's going on and what we have and what can we do to kind of get everything all updated and everything so that way we can see less of these issues. And so in onboarding, just being able to see like how many people are we getting all of our equipment back, and if we're able to kind of keep track of everything of those sorts when it comes to our onboarding and offboarding process. And so those kind of are the key things that we are trying to keep track of. And so yeah.
Anything from your side?
Yeah. For us right now, we are looking to just reduce the MTTR.
Mhm.
We started from, I would say, I'm not happy to say that, but it was 12 hours. Now we are reaching to 30-minute mark, and
Wow.
our goal is to hit 5 minutes. That's for the resolve or to response. And the next goal is going to be after that is a mean time to resolve,
Yeah.
and that is 2 hours, so 2 to 8 hours, depending on the level of the ticket severity. So that's basically the two things that we are focusing on right now. And we do have some other stuff, but I think that I mean, that is in the future, and we will talk more about that when we are ready to talk about that. But right now, I'm TTR.
Fantastic, fantastic. No, great, fantastic. We are out of time, but thank you so much. You were such a great co-host with me today. Thank you so much, Janelle. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hopefully, everyone enjoyed the
Thank
session. Thank you.
Thank you.